tuned into InvisiYouth Chat Sessions, a video podcast series. Our episode starts right now. Here's your host, Dominique Vale.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the InvisiYouth Chat Sessions, where you can check in for your dose of stigma-breaking, empowerment-filling, humor-loving life hacks and motivation tips for all of the medically adultish people in your life. This is Dominique, the host and founder and executive director of InvisiYouth Charity. And while we are coming back to our monthly podcast regime, this is insane that we are now coming to the end of our 2020 podcasts, and we just started back again last month. But no worries. Fun fact for everyone, season 3 will be continuing into 2021, so you'll be getting an additional bonus of episodes for season 3, but I'm super excited to have our special guest ending the 2020 episodes with us today. I could not ask for anyone better, so having someone who not only started 2020 with us before the craziness of the COVID-19 pandemic to now cap off the year in a good way, I'm super excited. It's fitness coach, public speaker, ultra endurance athlete, and cystic fibrosis activist Sophie Grace Holmes. I'm so excited. Many of you guys will remember her name and Sophie because back in February, pre-COVID, when socially distancing was not a thing, we hosted our London event that was filmed to feature in the 2021 documentary, The Dark Horse, and Sophie was kind enough to be one of our special guest speakers. I know all of our London group who were at the event for the film so enjoyed hearing from Sophie, and I know we wanted to bring her to our podcast series for our international community to be able to gain all of the motivation from Sophie that we did at that event. So I'm super excited because really our community became quite obsessed with Sophie's zest for life and her passion for finding ways to challenge herself and encouraging others to also do that. So I'm really excited for that. No one really can end this crazy year on a better note than getting to work with Sophie. So a little background on Sophie as well. She was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis at 4 months old. And while many people are told of the limitations of that chronic illness, Sophie really took hold of her life and found the ways of focusing on seeking challenges and greatness from every day and really seeking the fullest of every day. And that really is something that has been fueled into the work that she does. She has such an athletic nature and competitive drive that really has carved a lane for herself in the fitness community that is unique to her. She shows that anyone can become stronger, both physically, mentally, in every way, and building their confidence. This is a fitness rock star, as I like to say, because she has not only climbed Kilimanjaro, she's not only an ultra endurance competition athlete, she's been featured in Women's Health and Vogue and now has her own fitness app. Sophie is now even training for in 2021. We were just saying before, fingers crossed, Ironman Austria, where she'll actually get to do it in person. So I'm so excited for you guys to get to learn lots from Sophie today. So welcome, Sophie. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, wow. What an introduction that was. Thank you so much.
Soundbite that and you can use it as your intro when you're getting jobs. You're like, here's my bio.
That would be great. No, but seriously, thank you so much. And it's wonderful to be here. And how special it feels to be finishing the year as well with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I know we're going to dive right in because I know I want everyone to be able to get to know you better. And we're going into our first segment, which is Illest superlatives.
Illest superlatives. InvisiYouth.
Living with chronic illness or disability means you gain lots of life experiences, whether they are humorous or impactful and heartwarming. We always like to get to know our bests from the experiences they've had in their life. So with Illest superlatives, we're going to get to know Sophie better and figure out some of the highlights of life so far. So obviously have to bring one of the superlatives that are quarantine related. So what would be sort of your best quarantine workout you've had so far?
Do you know what? Probably it was when I decided to do my Ironman at home, because obviously only crazy people would end up doing that. But, you know, there was all these online workouts going on, which I'm sure you probably had over there as well. Everybody went live, which is amazing. But obviously for me, wanting to compete and obviously thriving off of that kind of experience, I was like, once my Ironman officially got cancelled, I was like, do you know what? If I can do this Ironman from my house by riding on my turbo trainer and running 842 laps of my front lawn, I literally can do anything, and I will have nothing to complain about when I actually finally make it into Austria to do it, even though obviously it'll be super tough. I will always go back and think, do you remember that time that I sat in my lounge and did the same thing?
I love that. It's just what I said. Having nobody to be seeing you doing that and competing in Ironman in your own home is just, it's something I wish you did have, like a camera in the corner of the room just to see the experience. Would have been fantastic. Even going off of that, what is your best career moment to date?
Oh, this is a good one. Probably I'm at the moment sponsored by Under Armour for obviously all my training and all my competitions. And I think even to this day, although we've been together now nearly 2 years, I still can't believe the opportunities that come around and the opportunities they've offered, as well as all the support to be, you know, with them as a team, for them to be supporting all of my goals. And also just encouraging and, you know, being part of a big team like that, obviously globally, because I did fly to Baltimore last January to obviously go to the headquarters and meet more of the team and stuff. And it's just a phenomenal atmosphere to be part of something that does feel like family.
I love that. And the former tennis player in me loved my Under Armour. So that makes me very happy. Couldn't get enough of that. Now, what would be your most likely to find you where when lockdown is over?
Oh, probably, you know, out on my bike or maybe even in the sea. Obviously, it's very cold over here in the UK at the moment. It was 3 degrees when I left my house. Obviously, it might not be colder compared to maybe where you are, but it is cold. And the sea is probably maybe 8 degrees, maybe lower at the moment. So I'm trying to get myself to basically go back into the sea, to embrace it. But also then that does mean that you get a reward of coffee and cake. So
that is true.
You know, it'll be worth it. So then I could go and do that, and then go, obviously, once lockdown is over and we can go and sit in a cafe or a coffee shop, I can go and find somewhere to sit, have a coffee and just have a cake and just enjoy life.
Oh my God. Yeah, that the temperature just killed me right there. And what would be one of your, I know you do coaching as well, and so a lot of your work is virtual. So what would be like a funniest moment of your virtual fitness and your virtual coaching?
I've got a few actually. So one of them, when I was doing a live workout in the summer, my neighbor next door decided to compete against me because it was in a 1,000 rep workout, but he's a Marine, so he's obviously super fit. And
I thought you were going to say like he's an accountant. No.
No, and obviously because I couldn't see him, he could see me obviously on the screen, but he was next door, so I couldn't see him.
No.
And obviously I was just doing this workout as fast as I could, and the next thing I know, he pops his head up at the window and makes me completely jump like I just was not expecting it.
Oh my God.
So that's probably like one of them. But if I was going to talk about some of my clients, I actually was programming one of my clients' weeks, and she messaged me and she was like, but are you okay? Because the sessions you've set me, she was like, if you don't hear from me again, like it's because you've suddenly upped all this work just to see. And I replied to her, said, yeah, but I know you can do it, but you need to be pushed to like encourage it. And actually at the end of obviously the week, she did send me quite a funny photo. But then she was like, thank you so much, because I never would have believed I could do that unless obviously you encouraged me to do it. So it's lovely.
Oh, I love that. And ending that segment on a happy story note, we're just going to do that instead. I love that. So yes, that's really, like you said, I know your clients are super supportive. Anytime our charity will write in your posts on Instagram, you can see so many of them are super supportive of you as well. Getting to have what you do with them as a coach, and then they really feel that and feel that support back to you as well, which is something that's really, really wonderful that I enjoy so much about the way that you encourage the people in your community is so unique to you as well. And then going off of that, the one thing, speaking of clients and in your community, I'm segueing into not our new segment, but into our wonderful new charitable sponsor that we have for this episode. Many of you guys will know they are actually a brand that partners with InvisiYouth this year and has stuck by us through this crazy 2020 time. It's the new beauty brand from Los Angeles, California, I'm For Love, founded by a registered nurse and wonderful woman named Lydia Smith, who really is on a mission of expressing through a makeup brand beauty from the inside out, and really fueling that beauty should be celebrated, shared, and expressed through that mission of using makeup from the inside out. So with their first product, I'll become a YouTuber for 5 seconds with one of these glorious hand gestures. If you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see me holding up one of their first product, was the True Lips moisturizing stick, which is just as luxurious as it is smooth, with its sheer formula that adds a hint of shine, moisture, and conditioning to your lips with a hint of vanilla. It's one of the best. I've gotten it earlier in the year, and especially wearing masks during the winter and during now with social distancing, having a moisturizing stick can be amazing. And this is so fantastic. It's also cruelty-free and 100% vegan, which is wonderful for it to be. And on top of that, now I'm For Love is using a promo code called InvisiLove. That's INVISI Love. We'll have the promo code on the bottom so you can see it as well on the screen. So 20% off your purchase, but also 100% of the profits are being donated to InvisiYouth for every purchase. So not only are you getting a 20% discount for every purchase of the True Lips moisturizing stick, but that purchase is donating 100% of the profit to InvisiYouth. So it's pretty much getting a gift and making a donation all in the same. So we are super appreciative of that. Now, if you go to imforlove.com, that's IM4LV.com, you can get your True Lips moisturizing stick. And now we have a little video commercial from I'm For Love, so you can see the actual True Lips moisturizing stick in person as well. Like I said, 20% off your purchase with InvisiLove, and 100% of the profits are donated to InvisiYouth.
Path to Power.
And our next segment with Sophie is one of my personal favorites, and I handpicked this one right away when I knew Sophie was going to be on our show. It is Path to Power. This is where we discuss different moments and how-tos, not only just owning your health, but owning your life and finding a path of your own inner power. So this is finding fitness, and something that's big for Sophie is fitness, both in mental fitness and physical fitness, and really building that and fueling that together for every person. So we're going to chat about building that path to your own power. So I know people will, especially on social media, will really find you and gain that immediate sense of you encouraging others to find that self-motivation and really driving people to build a drive within themselves, whether that is with fitness or their own passions and work that they do. So for you, how has fitness really played a key role for you building that motivation and passion within your work and your motivational speaking work as well?
Do you know what? Fitness, I do believe, is the most powerful tool that we have.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be extreme. It's just about movement. Like for me, I do believe that fitness has saved my life. Mentally, obviously enabled me to become tougher, enabled me to deal with the harder parts that life has presented over the years. But also it's really made me discover my own personal capabilities, what I truly want out of life itself, and the things I do love doing. Because I mean, obviously with these big endurance races that I have done, you do question your entire sanity in the middle. You really do.
I would at the beginning.
But at the same time, you know what? You really can really dig deep and discover what you're made of by simply putting one foot in front of the other, or whatever the race or the thing that you may be doing. And it doesn't have to be extreme like I do. It could be anything, like going for your first walk or your first run or whatever like you enjoy doing. And you know, it's about building up resilience, so that, you know, I do believe that if you do what's hard, life does become a little bit easier, and you can deal with situations much easier. Should you just push yourself to basically become comfortable with being uncomfortable most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that's a big thing we'll get quite a bit, is that sort of workout anxiety, especially for the chronic illness or disability community. There always is that bit of fear if you push your body, what could happen from that. So I know that's always a big question we get, is how do you kind of go past those or work with those mental roadblocks that you might have of wanting to try and bring more fitness, or like you said, just daily movement, but having those sort of mental blocks of being worried? How would you suggest people get to move around them?
I think first things first is learning your body itself, learning how much intensity and how much capacity it can deal with now. Learning what triggers you have to listen to when you do need to rest and recover. And once you've kind of understood all of those, you can then build up. Even if it's 1% per day, you add on. So say, for example, you went for a 20-minute walk, and then tomorrow you went for a 22-minute walk. It may seem a tiny milestone, but it's these milestones that really gradually build up over time. And even if you did say 1% a day, you'd be 365% better off than the year before. And basically also ensuring that you're not comparing yourself to anybody else you see, because everybody is in a different position or a different place in their own fitness journey. So say, for example, for me, I've been doing fitness since the moment I could move and walk. So obviously some people perhaps haven't been doing that, but they want to start it. So it's about being like, right, okay, I know that I can go for this walk or this run, or find something that you do really love doing, and then just gradually building it in. And over time, it really does build up. And that's where you then get your self-belief and your self-encouragement, because you will get to a point to be like, right, I know the triggers, I know when I need to rest. Even periodization in your training. So a couple of weeks will be tougher, and then you'll bring it back, and for a week or two, and then you'll bring it back up, just to make sure that your body is building a strong base from the ground up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love how you said it's really kind of education really becomes such a powerful tool of being able to start somewhere, but kind of learning with your body, asking your doctors. I know a big thing for me was my physical therapy, and having physiotherapists really giving me things I could do super low key at home right in the beginning of my injury, because I felt, especially being a competitive athlete and having my injuries then sort of triggering my chronic illness, I had a very specific way of exercise and fitness that was at a competitive level. So to then have to go backwards in a way was challenging for me, but it was having my parents at home being like, you can't get up today, let's see what you can do just sitting, and doing, and always feeling like having different tools and having people to ask, like you said, really taking that 1% every day. In the short term might not feel like you're doing anything, but then really thinking about, wow, in the long term, I'll probably be able to get somewhere, is really, it is something that can kind of help you soothe yourself going through those doubts or worries with bringing in more fitness when you have health struggles as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, if you can find a support network, like you just said, that encourage you, whether it be friends and family, your doctors, your physios, then, you know, it's about taking those steps. And yes, there will be roadblocks. I'm sure you've had plenty as well. And there are very, very much frustrations, but that is just all part of it. It's about the journey itself rather than achieving the end goal as well. Because I think you know, we all want to achieve goals and we all want to get to certain places, but it's about embracing the journey of you getting there as well.
Yeah.
Because we've all had times, like I remember when I was 19, I was very sick and basically got given 2 years to live. And, you know, I could have sat there and been like, okay, well, that's it for me. But it took me many years to build back up, but I did get there. So, you know, it's one of those things where you just have to sit back and be like, right, this is my starting point and it's okay to be here. Acceptance of where you are, and then setting a bigger goal, but then working backwards with smaller milestones for you to then be like, do you know what, this is going to be okay. I've achieved it. Even if I plateau or I go back a little bit, I know that I can get myself back up. And it's about building up that resilience to know that you can do it as well.
Yeah. And what about for yourself? Because I know with it, trying to find that sort of inner empowerment when even for you, if you're, I mean, you're at a fitness coaching level, you're an ultra endurance athlete, but I imagine you have days where sort of health issues pop in more, or your physical stamina, you might have to take a little bit of a rest. How do you kind of work past even in that sort of inner self critic of being like, oh, you should push harder today, or you shouldn't be resting today? How do you kind of push past those?
Yeah, it's super tough because, you know, there's a lot of guilt that comes in, a lot of frustration, a lot of thinking, oh, not this again, or I'm not good enough, or, you know, you've just got to sometimes sit there and be like, I am dealing with something like a chronic illness as well. So it's phenomenal that I'm doing what I'm doing. But at the same time, if my body's saying no, it's actually by far more beneficial for me to rest and recover than try and push sometimes, because then maybe in a couple of days or the next day I could get up and be okay. Mm-hmm. Whereas if I push through the times that I do truly need to rest, then that will only put me back further towards my goal. And obviously you have to learn the difference between being lazy and knowing that you can, and actually knowing that your body has had enough. And for me, I'm very much aware of which is which. Like, for example, this morning, I had to get up at 5 o'clock this morning.
Ooh.
Because I had to do a run this morning, because I've actually got to do another run tonight. I know.
I'll take a drink of my coffee as I sympathize with you waking up.
And even this morning, I was like, oh, it would be much nicer to stay in bed. But if I don't do this now, then there is no way I'm going to get both these sessions that my coach has set in. So for me, if I hadn't done it, that would have definitely been laziness over not being able to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas prior to me being on this new medication, there was a fair few roadblocks in place because of restriction with my airways. That sometimes I was like, actually, I'm just really fatigued. I need to rest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know a big thing for you as well that I really admire, and also something that really sticks with me, is that you're constantly sort of seeking adventure, seeking exciting things to do. And that really feels like that's part of your own path to your inner power and your empowerment in your work, is trying to find new things to challenge yourself and new adventures and activities to do. Like I said, like sort of challenging for you to do physically, but then also things that are fun and exciting to do are really part of kind of the work that you've built for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I just see life as just one exciting adventure, because no matter what you're going through, it will get better if it's hard, or you can just try and make the most of the situations that you have. And for me, this is where, like, I've learned quite a lot from my puppy, because she's just excited about life and everything about it. And I look at her sometimes and I'm like, do you know what? If we just kind of acted a bit more like a puppy and was just like, do you know what? Every day can be a great day, no matter what happens. We can make something in that day be good.
Yeah.
We just embrace and enjoy and just simply do things. Obviously, I'm a firm believer of doing what's hard every single day to build up resilience, but also we have to also have something in our day that we enjoy, whether it be from something we eat to an activity or something. But for me, I'm just like, where I've obviously had to grow up being told that I'm not going to live very long, or I'm not going to be able to achieve anything, I've basically been like, do you know what? It doesn't matter the number of years I'm here. It's about what I do with the years itself.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm always like, do you know what? Let's do this, and let's go here, and let's push, and let's kind of have so much fun, because no matter what's going on, like we can still try and laugh and still try and have a good time, even if things don't quite seem to be going your way. Just because for me, like my biggest fear in life is regret. And for me, usually regret follows an excuse. So one of my friends once said to me, it's the excuses that you make today that will be the regrets you have at the end of your life.
Wow.
Quite a powerful.
God, your friend dropped that, like that life lesson. Oh my God.
Yeah. And it stuck with me ever since. So every single time I try and make an excuse not to do something because say I can't be bothered or I'm whatever, there could be like a million reasons. I'm like, do you know what? I will never regret going to do this one thing I need to do, because even if it's something I don't want to do or something it's hard, it feels good to have it done. Or if it's like a training session because I'm feeling a little bit tired, it's like, do you know what? It's probably half an hour of my life. So I'm going to go and do it, and then I can go and then rest or do whatever I want. And for me, like, there is so much that we can do or whatever in a day that it's like, let's just try and enjoy it. And then obviously within this year, obviously COVID has been challenging in itself, but actually I've learned so much from simply being more still that I'm grateful for that, to take that forward.
Yeah, no, and I love that mindset of being able to find, like you said, like finding something to give you positivity, give you energy, sort of like you said, like your puppy finding like the wonder and joy of every day, even if it's one thing in the day. I always say if one thing you can say was a bonus or a good thing in the day, the rest of the day can go horribly, but if at least you can think of like one good thing that you were able to put into your day, the day had a plus in it. So always, like you said, that does sort of switch your mindset, like you said, of trying to make sure you're always finding new things and not wanting to regret anything. That really does give yourself more power, because you're the one that's kind of making the choices of, this is what my body's capable of for today, so I'm going to choose what I can do based off of what I'm able to do for the day.
100%. And I think, we are human beings, and, every single day is different. Every single day you'll feel a little bit different, but so long as you do the best that you can within the way you feel, you've won the day. So,
Yeah.
Not every single training session you'll be able to give 100%, but that's actually okay. Like not every single day you're going to be able to give certain tasks, everything you've got, because of however you're feeling. But it's about just making the most of that day. And as you say, like if you can do, or say you've had one positive thing in your day, then actually it's been a good day. And without the struggles or, the bumps in the road, firstly, you wouldn't appreciate life, or you wouldn't appreciate the good times. But also, actually, for me, if I look back at every single struggle that I've had, then they've actually been there for a reason. They've led me down a path that perhaps I didn't expect to have, or even better, given me opportunities that I never thought would ever come my way. Yeah. And for me, like I always believe in a struggle or a setback, as people would say, as redirecting you down the path that you're meant for, and everything that's meant for you will never pass you by. So this is where I've kind of taken this new mindset this year of like, do you know what? Let's flow with life. Let life happen to you. Let life surprise you. Let's control the controllables. Things you can't control, let go. And don't worry more than 5 minutes about things that won't matter to you in 5 years' time.
I love that. That's such a key way of not only of being able to live, especially in challenging times like everyone's had this year, is really only control the things you can control. Because if you put too much emphasis on the things that, then you just are sort of fixed into that mindset. That's such a great way to end that segment as well. And before we get to my personal favorite, as everyone knows, my intermission story time segment, I want to thank everybody again for always checking out the InvisiYouth Chat Sessions. Our programming, like our virtual programming, like this podcast, are all provided for free from donors like yourself, for us being able to continue providing this program, our leadership program that's annual, and all of our virtual resources are because of donors like yourself. So especially in December, in this season of giving, we're really asking from everyone, if they can, to donate anything they can. Ask their family and friends to donate on their behalf as a give back gift for them. We thoroughly appreciate it. We have the donation link in the description below. We have it popping up on the screen, and it's InvisiYouthCharity.com/donate. That's InvisiYouth youthcharity.com/donate. We really appreciate all of the support because we love being able to provide our programming and resources for free for everyone all year round. So I'm thoroughly thankful, and I speak on behalf of everyone behind the scenes at InvisiYouth that we thoroughly appreciate that. And something else we appreciate and that I appreciate now is I get to take a break of talking and Sophie gets to tell all of us a story. It's our intermission segment, So That One Time.
So that one time.
So that one time is where I get to take a break and relax. We can all grab a drink and Sophie can tell us a story. So Sophie, you have the mic. Tell me a story.
Oh, what kind of story would you like?
Oh, I am fully letting you go. You can empower me, make me laugh or cry. I will take any emotion.
All right. So I think probably the story I'm going to tell you is about that time I paddleboarded 80 miles from the Bahamas to Florida in one go.
God.
Because it's one of those adventures that I look back on, and it was the most incredible experience of my life for so many different reasons. So obviously I'll start from the beginning. So I got invited out to do this paddleboard race for a charity in America called Crossing for CF. So it's a charity that fundraises money to basically help fund medication for youths with CF, so under 16s, I think, to help them have access to the better medications. Because obviously over in America, there's not like over here in the UK, we have the NHS. Obviously you guys obviously have health insurance and stuff. So, you know, they basically invited me over to do this challenge and said, you can either do it solo or you can do it in a team if you can find a team, but we'd love to have you over here. And obviously without even hesitation, I was like, absolutely, count me in. I've never been to the Bahamas, and what an experience that will be. And it was one of those moments in life where naively accepted the challenge, naively then thought, oh, I can paddleboard. But little did I know what was about to happen upon that journey, because obviously I landed in Florida and then the next day found a boat to take me over to the Bahamas. So it was a bit like, obviously I landed there, knew nobody, had to then find somebody to find me a boat to obviously sail me over. Then obviously got there and obviously met people that were doing the same challenge, because there was 270 paddlers, obviously all these support boats, people fundraising loads of money and stuff. And it's the weirdest thing, because obviously you're over there, and I'm more than happy to be in places where I don't know people. I'm more than happy to network and chat and stuff. But the atmosphere of people was like the nervous excitement. Like there was a lot of new paddlers, I think, a lot of people that were doing it completely competitively. And I think this is where I believe in the power of being naive, because I hadn't realized how difficult it was to paddle in the ocean before, because in reality, I'd only actually paddled in a lake, which is very different, obviously, because the ocean currents and waves and all these kinds of things. And obviously, traveling from the Bahamas along the Gulf Stream, there are obviously a lot of animals in the sea.
Oh no.
And all kinds of things. And obviously, I didn't really take this into consideration. I just thought, oh, it's a cool event. How hard can it be? So we obviously, the day before was like all the prep work, making sure your board was okay, making sure like obviously you had all your food and drinks and stuff ready on your boat that obviously was going to guide you over. And I've never felt completely out of my depth before until this moment when I was standing on the edge of the beach at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my God.
Looking across this ocean being like, wow, like, in a minute, I'm going to be on this board until I hit the other side.
No.
And that is in God knows how many hours time. And there was a storm coming in.
Of course there was.
Of course, because nothing's ever simple, is it, in life? It was like windy, like the waves were crazy. And they were like, look, we're going to go across there. There's support boats everywhere. I think they even had like the Coast Guards out, obviously in the ocean, just in case like anyone needed rescuing. And obviously we set off and it was like, this is going to be fine. And then 3 miles in, our captain was like, guys, you're doing really well. Like you've done 3 miles in an hour. Bearing in mind we had 80 miles.
Oh no.
And I was like, are you kidding? We've only done 3 3 miles, and I honestly am so exhausted.
Oh no.
But I was like, look, it's for a good cause. It is possible because it's been done. I'm just going to have to get on with it and like just dig a bit deeper. But obviously the tireder you get, because obviously we're meant to be asleep at that time of day, the more your brain kind of tricks you into different things. Now, obviously I was like, is there a shark? Is there not a shark? I've been told the sharks in the Bahamas are really friendly, so it's fine. We'll go with that. And then obviously after a period of time, the sun starts coming up, which is the moment that I was living for, because we were in the middle of the ocean. There was no obviously land either side. The sun was coming up, and basically you're surrounded by sunrise. And it was the most phenomenal experience ever, because I was like, firstly, I'm on my paddleboard and weirdly feel very safe on here. Secondly, wow, like the sun is coming up and this is incredible. And obviously as the sun comes up, you can kind of almost gauge where you are. Because obviously we couldn't really see land, but it was like the captain was like, in an hour's time, you could be able to see Miami.
Oh, cool.
Obviously, unfortunately, if when you see Miami, it still means you've got like 4 hours to go. But it's fine, because it kind of gives you the hope that you need to kind of dig in a bit more. And, you know, it was phenomenal. And, you know, you obviously just keep going. And when you get to the beach, they'd set up obviously loads of sponsors, but they had like loads of people cheering, and like it was like a pretty emotional experience, because obviously you're emotional anyway because you're absolutely exhausted. But also you've just traveled 80 miles on a paddleboard and made it across in the middle of the night, which obviously is quite scary anyway, to obviously getting on the beach. And it's like, this experience in itself was phenomenal. The support was amazing. Every person I met on that trip was just so wonderful and supportive, and probably like to do with obviously with all the sporting trips, it was the most amazing welcome, loads of love. And like it's like one of those things where I want to go back, because, you know, I've never known anything like it. And obviously a lot of the people there knew I was there on my own, so they made extra effort to kind of like be there and stuff like that. And, you know, then the next day, once we'd obviously recovered a little bit, although I actually had to go to border control at the airport because my passport didn't get accepted back into
I love that.
So obviously explaining to them in the airport that I travelled from the Bahamas on a paddleboard was quite difficult, because obviously it's not something they hear every day. They're like, so where's your paddleboard? I was like, well, I'm not going to bring a 10-foot paddlebood to the airport or to like customs, because, and I was like, I've been awake like forever, so like, can we just sort this out? And then obviously the next day they do all these presentations and stuff, and like I think they'd raised over $1 million.
Amazing.
Which is amazing. And for me, like, it was such a special event, because obviously with the CF link, but obviously the unique experience, plus on top of that, everyone being so amazing, and even some of the people now I still chat to. So that for me was just phenomenal. And I think it's something that will always stay with me, not only because of the experience, but also because of how much I actually had to dig deep to simply push myself to achieve this, because obviously we had thunder and lightning over the sea, we had fish everywhere. Honestly, it was just mental.
Oh my God, happy sharks are a great explanation. Be like, no, they're really sweet. I love that. Oh my God, no, that sounds like such an amazing experience. And then also being able to do something that's so close to your heart, raising money for CF, as a cause for CF as well, kind of is just an additional icing on the cake of something that's such a fun experience for you to be able to do. And I imagine while you were out in the middle of the ocean, you probably wish you might have had some music playing in the background, or if you did. So going off of that, we're going to go into our next segment with Sophie called What's Your Life Playlist.
What's your life playlist? What's your life playlist?
What's your life playlist? I feel like every time I chat with Sophie, I need to have a notepad or my memo app open to learn from her, because I'm always finding new tricks and new things to add into my daily life to make it better from Sophie. So we are now going to let her give you all the things that you can add into your life playlist to be able to bring fitness and empowerment into every day. So naturally, if I'm bringing on a fitness guru like yourself, I'm going to ask questions about things for people starting out in fitness. What are things you would suggest, either different types of workouts that they would suggest to look into first, or things that you would buy to have at home for sort of early starting fitness?
So if you're just starting out, Firstly, I would just find something that you think you're going to enjoy, or try an array of sports, because fitness at the end of the day, it should be really fun. I know we all find it sometimes a bit of a chore, even I, but predominantly it should be something that you feel great after, something you enjoy, or something that you can do with your friends. Because, you know, I think a lot of people just think, go to the gym, lift a few weights, but actually there is so many different things. Like, if you don't like lifting weights, how about boxing? I absolutely love boxing. I've actually had a fight, white collar fight, so that was really fun. As you do, getting hit in the face. But, you know, it should be something you enjoy. Like, I knew somebody that picked up skipping during lockdown and they love that. Maybe riding a bike or swimming or dancing. It should just be something that you feel like you can add into your routines and adapt your lifestyle to a few times a week for you to enjoy. And it doesn't have to be hours on end. It could be, 20, 30 minutes of movement, and then 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and just something that you know that you're going to get a lot from, mentally and physically.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And like you said, definitely things that you enjoy. Having a sport background, I enjoyed sort of having that cardiovascular energy, where my sister was and she still is, she has multiple black belts in 3 different styles. So she loves martial arts and dancing. Even she's way more coordinated than I am. I say I'm way too albino to have much rhythm. So it looks very entertaining when we try to do like dance fitness together. But at least, like you said, things that I know my body is capable of. And if I try new things, sometimes they don't work. And I'm like, oh, my chronic illness is saying this is not, you might mentally want to do it, but your body's not going to like this exercise at all. And being able to be like, okay. And like you said, find different things that would be things you can add in are really great. What about, I know, workout gear? Are there things that you are like staples to you that you like to have? I know for me, if I have a very cushioned yoga mat and K-tape on the ready, I am happy to do any fitness at home. So what about you?
For fitness, it would be find a pair of leggings that you love, because they've got to be comfortable. Obviously, Under Armour leggings are great. And also regularly treating yourself, if you can, to something to add into your fitness is key, because I think it does re-energize you, re-motivate you. Like for me, for example, I've got have you heard of a Theragun?
Is that like the thing that you can massage? Okay.
Yeah, so like I got one of those recently, because obviously it helps with recovery and stuff like that. But obviously for me, resistance bands are great, because you can do them from home, or you can help them with progressions of different exercises and stuff, but also use them for mobility, stretching. So they're really useful and they're not very expensive. So that's also really good. But also
resistance bands.
Yeah, I feel like they're underestimated a little bit.
Yeah, they bring me a tiny bit of PTSD from physical therapy, but I have so many that I'm like, just embrace them at this point. What about, I know I mentioned at the top of the show that you have your own app as well that people can sign up for. So what are a couple of your favorite parts of your app? If someone was going to click the link in your Instagram bio and click your app, what would be sort of like your 2 things that you would suggest people look at first?
So firstly, there is a nutrition guide on there to help you plan your meals, to help you plan macros if you wish to go down that route, but also give like suggestions of things like recipes and stuff like that, which is just really nice. And there's going to be more added to that very soon. But also another good thing on there is not only is there programs, but also there's follow along workouts. So you can literally work out with me on the app.
Which is amazing. If people do one Instagram live with you while you're doing fitness, or when you're on your bike talking to your camera, it's a sneak peek of what they can get from a fitness video from you on your app. And it's just like, it's the free edition of being able to then see what they would be able to get so much access to on the app, which I thoroughly appreciate. And like you said, your grocery guide is like the cutest looking thing on the planet. It was the first thing I wrote on my note, was be like, grocery guide, exclamation point. I loved that one. What about for you? I know a big thing for me is different music playlists, whether I'm doing yoga and that's more like lo-fi jazz music, or if I need some like like I said, if I'm attempting to do any sort of cardio or boxing at home, I will have like the high intensity K-pop in the background that's like very, very intense for me to have. Do you have any sort of go-to music or songs that you like to listen to?
Yeah, it's probably quite similar to most people. It depends on the tempo of the workout. because I'm quite an excitable, influenced person. So say, for example, like my run tonight is meant to be like a very easy, slow, chilled run. So I'll probably put on like, I love quite like acoustic music, chilled out. So obviously I'd probably just put that on because it will mean that I'll probably run slower, versus like high energy stuff. Like obviously there's a lot of workout adaptive music, isn't there, out there as well?
Yeah.
That you can just like whack on, because obviously it's quite fast paced and stuff. I mean, last night I had to do a 1 minute max power test on my bike. So I put on some Linkin Park and just blasted it out.
The go-to. That is the go-to. One thing we definitely got, especially like I mentioned from your app, your nutrition guide, was we get working from home or working out from home means you get to snack at home. So are there like a couple healthy go-to snacks you would suggest for people so they're not reaching for the accessible things that they could then be adding while working from home?
Yeah, of course. Like I love baking. So I share all the time on my Instagram some healthy recipes, from like flapjacks to breakfast muffins to banana bread, to all sorts of things. I've actually got loads more coming out in the next couple of weeks. But for me, like obviously not everyone loves baking from home, but it means that you do know exactly what goes into it and you can enjoy it. If you don't like baking from home, that I love making things like smoothies, having banana and peanut butter, for example, or apple and peanut butter. That's actually quite nice.
Ooh.
If you've not tried that, it's worth a try. If you like peanut butter, obviously. I know some people are on the fence with that. But also just having like, I think with snacking and stuff at home, because I feel like a lot of my clients have found that they do snack more because, you know, it's just a short walk to the fridge and it is by far easier. I always tell them to have stuff in, like even some protein bars are great, like for Phil Nutrition. I'm not sure if you get that over there, or like My Protein bars, which are also really good. But finding something, for me, like a satisfying snack is finding something that you really do enjoy without it feeling like you're almost eating too healthy so that you don't feel satisfied.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I know from working at home, I enjoyed finding like dried edamame or like banana chips, things that were like quick that I could toss onto a napkin or a plate and have on there. I know, actually, I remember, I think I saw it from you that you had like cinnamon sugar to put on an apple, and that mix, that literally is since like October, that has been on the regular. I gave it to my sister when now my brother-in-law moved. I got one to add to their spice cabinet. I was like, here you go. So you'll learn loads of things from Sophie and her Instagram, like she said, as well, when it comes to that. And then going into our final segment with Sophie, things that if you were going to search things on playlists with Sophie, we are doing our new segment, Top Search with Sophie, where we're going to basically use Sophie as our information guide or Google and answer all of our top search questions.
Top Search. You got the top search.
Top search. So often people will use Google to get all of their questions and answers for things about chronic illness, learning about different disabilities, and also learning about different fitness and motivation tips. So we are going, like I said, to use Sophie as our go-to Google search. I will be asking questions and Sophie will be generating the answers for us in these. So I know it's something you even touched on in the beginning, was people wanting to set goals, whether in fitness or in work or life projects, and feeling that if they don't reach them, there's a disappointment. So how do you try to not deal with that disappointment side if you aren't able to reach a goal at the time you might want it? So
the way I see things like that, or failure, is if you enjoy failure as much as you enjoy success, you're never going to lose, but you're only going to learn. And if you didn't reach that goal, there's obviously a reason for it. Either you didn't want it enough, or either there was a roadblock in the way, but actually that's okay because you've learned and you can probably take that forward and find a new goal, or you just need to take a bit more time to achieve it. But there is no race to achieve anything. It's all done on your own timeline, and perhaps even that you weren't ready to even be at that end goal because you as a person needs to develop a little bit more, or you need to learn a little bit more. to be ready to receive obviously then what comes after that.
I love that, like you said, putting just as much enjoyment on achieving as failing, because people will take the other side of the yin and yang and be like, if I don't achieve this, it's such a negative. But I love how you said that if you find ways to enjoy not reaching a goal and what you can then do because of that, I think that really does shift the mindset for so many people, especially with a chronic illness or disability. You're always worried that, what if I have a health flare up and I can't then reach that work goal or a fitness goal? And you become very worried about doing that. I love that shift in mindset is really important. And then also kind of going off of that too, I know we had talked about, I know something that's big for us is other people, sort of whether you're family or friends or doctors, will say you should only be focusing on your health journey, or especially with a chronic illness, they kind of say medical is your priority. So how do you kind of combat that other side of being like, no, I want to add a fun fitness activity into my day, or I want to add a new hobby into my day, because work can be stressful, especially working from home. So how do you kind of shift off of that when people say like you should only be focusing on your health journey?
For me, it would be because my health doesn't define me, it drives me. To be able to achieve things that perhaps they, like doctors or others, don't think I will be able to achieve. Like, I'm a firm believer of believing in yourself so much that everyone else has no choice but to believe in you too. And
good.
Of course, with health, it's not as simple as that. But I do believe that we are more than our chronic illness, and we can achieve more than science dictates. But all we have to do is try and put one foot in front of the other, and just keep adding on those building blocks, and just keep trying to push, because we have to be able to, around obviously working on our illness, enjoy life, because life is there to be enjoyed and embraced, and do the things that really set you on fire. Like, because at the end of the day, like, we have the opportunity to live every single day. We only die once, yet a lot of the time people live the other way around. So, you know, if we can make the most of the time that we have, it could be, even if we're here 80 years or we're here 50 years, then we can at least look back and be like, yes, I had to deal with this chronic illness, but look how much fun I had in the process. And also my outlook on life, or the journey I've had, has enabled me to have more experiences within my years. Because for me, like, I feel lucky to have CF, because I've been able to live a lot harder, because I've been given the determination to be able to survive, to be able to go down that route. Whereas a lot of my friends have said, we've had, obviously they know me, but they've never had a reason to really push themselves to, you know, climb mountains or do whatever, because they've had a very different journey up until now.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, you know, you can use your illness to drive you to achieve some of the biggest things that, you know, of your life, or even just do things that doctors didn't expect you to be able to do. For example, when I was 19, I got told I got, you know, 2 years to live. So 6 months after that, I went and climbed Kilimanjaro. Now, they told me I'd never do it. I did it. And then obviously that's where all my other adventures sparked off of, because I was willing to try, and I did everything I could to get to that point. And I did it. And I think, you know, it just shows that you as an individual shouldn't be dictated by the science of your illness or what people have experienced in the past, because you don't know your own power until you try.
Yeah, no, I really, really like that. And it's also really, that's such a mindset that you've integrated, not only just sort of professionally in the direction you then moved yourself for work, but then also just in your day to day. And you talk about that so often on social media, like, yes, this is your profession, but then it really, that mindset of using your health journey to thrive you, even in the small little achievements of every day, not like just the big goals to check off, but the small little tasks that you have to do. As I say, when you start adulting, you do have the normal tasks you have to check off every day. And so when you have that mindset of being able to bring that energy into even those sort of adulting tasks, it really does sort of shift the energy you bring into every day as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, to be honest.
And I know another thing I wanted to ask as a question to my Sophie Google is, I know one thing we always deal with, especially with young adults, is the social media realm, or the do it for the gram mindset that a lot of young people have. And so what would be sort of your things of getting people to, if they want to share things on social media, they can, but sort of staying in their lane, if you will, of not getting negative thoughts of seeing other people, even with the same health conditions, sort of achieving different things than you?
I think social media is such a tricky one because it is so positive on so many levels with the people you meet, the connections, the experiences you have by talking to people, or simply seeing what other people are doing. And of course, as you've said, it can be, oh, well, she can do that, but why can't I do that? And that's really tough. But I think, you need to bring yourself back and be like, okay, well, we've had different journeys. This health condition could affect people very differently.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm very much a fan believer of your support network. So, you've got to look at that as well, because, my friends and family, no matter what mental activity I decide to do next, I know that they will have my back, and I know that they'll support me no matter what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people don't have that support. And I think, so long as you are setting goals for you, because that's what you want, not setting goals because that person's doing it. And obviously, I'm a believer of setting goals that are so big that they scare the hell out of you, but also being realistic within those goals of your own personal experiences and ability up until now. Like, I'm not saying that people couldn't achieve extraordinary things over time, but it's about, don't compare your day 1 to somebody's day 500, because you don't know what's happened within those days for them. They may have had a really hard time and then all of a sudden got to a point where it's like they can then go up a level.
Yeah.
So it's about being inspired by seeing what other people can do without putting your own self in a situation of like, oh, it's not fair, or I can't do that. Because actually, perhaps one day you'll be able to do something that you want to do, but it's very difficult when social media is just kind of like a highlight reel in a way. So it's just about focusing on your own path and not just aimlessly scrolling down social media and then making yourself feel bad or like putting yourself down, because actually we don't really know anything about the people on social media other than what they put out.
Yeah, exactly. And I like how you phrase that too. I know a big thing for me is, like you said, knowing yourself super well. So even something I'll always say is, if you're starting to, like you said, scroll through and you're kind of you're feeling that mental guide going into feeling those sort of anxiety, or I wish I could have do those things, or why am I not at that level yet? Once you start sort of subconsciously thinking those things, I always tell everyone, especially with a chronic illness or disability, take a pause and do something that kind of gives you that mental clarity, or something that has such a routine to it that your brain is kind of turned off for it. So I'll go to either cook something for dinner or baking, things that even for fitness as well, that's something where your brain has to focus on sort of just physical movement, doing the different reps and tasks. So your brain has to go off of the internal stress or dialogue or worries you might be thinking of, and you can then sort of gear in a different direction, especially with even cooking as well. I can't think of anything else because obviously I'll cause a fire or burn something. So I have to focus on that. And it does, getting your brain to kind of shut off the anxieties is a good way to kind of set and reboot you as well, to then kind of have a new focus. And then I can't believe my final question for Sophie. So our final question, I know that I wanted to have everybody get from Sophie, is, like I said, she's my Monday motivation all 7 days of the week. So it's like Monday motivation for 7 days with Sophie. So especially during these hard times, especially with COVID, especially with 2020, I know a lot of people are really lacking that internal motivation or drive because the world looks different for a lot of people. So for you, what are tips that you would give to others to springboard into at the end of 2020 and into 2021 with sort of a new drive and a new pep in their step? What's sort of the Sophie Grace Holmes motivation pitch for them to kind of bring some adventure to themselves?
I think firstly, it's seeing where you're at now, accepting where you're at now, and then writing, I like to do 5 things per day as a task. So whether it be work or whatever. And then once those things have been achieved, then you can kind of then go and have fun or do whatever you want. I think it's important to set routines within that. So I have a morning routine, an evening routine, and that will be the same every single day, because that helps keep me motivated and keeps me striving forward. But I think as well, like having the courage to live life on your terms, having the courage to do the things that you really love, and finding things to maybe try that are new as well. Because there's nothing more exciting than being a beginner at something, because it's your opportunity to learn. But also like looking outside of the box, like, is there things in your life that, you know, do demotivate you, or people that bring you down? Because, you know, ultimately the motivation comes from discipline. And it's like a double-edged sword. If you're not disciplined, you'll probably find you're not motivated, but the more disciplined you become, the more motivated you are. So it's about setting things that work within your lifestyle. So for 2021, it doesn't even have to be New Year's resolutions or setting new goals. It could be, do you know what, I'm going to get into a great routine for my morning, my evening, my daytime, especially if everyone's still working at home. I'm going to have something in my day that I love. I like to write down gratitudes as well. So you can kind of really be present and really see what you do have. Because I think sometimes we are so busy chasing and moving forward and keep pushing that actually we forget how lucky we are and what we do actually have in front of us.
Yeah.
And then another thing that I try and do as well, which actually really helps with mindset and mental health, is having a curfew with my phone. Obviously, a lot of my business is online.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's actually really lovely to be present within your own life and forget about your phone for a while. Because I think where obviously this year everything has been in more virtual, more online and stuff like that, finding something within each day that you're not going to be looking at your phone all the time, I think it's super important for us as individuals. And also then, even if it's like, I'm going to go for a walk and I'm not going to take my phone.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Because I think it's really important also for that is to just really embrace like where you are, because it's so easy to walk along, text, scroll, whatever. And it just means that we actually miss out on so many things. Like whenever I'm walking Nala, for example, I won't really look at my phone. I'll have it on me, but like I won't look at my phone for the whole time. I'll just my attention will be on her and engaging with her. And it's almost like a massive refresher. And then you do feel more motivated to then do the tasks that you do have to do.
I love that. That's a whole, like you said, focusing on gratitude for what you have, writing those 5 things that you want to achieve during the day to check off, and having that, not only just having that routine for yourself in the morning or evening, things that you just, even if it is, I always say, as simple as, especially working from home, getting up, getting dressed and going to work. A lot of times if you're working from home and people don't have to see you, you can be like, I'm just gonna be in my loungewear and I'm great. But having, like you said, even if it is going into next year, it's not always about the big resolutions or goals. It's even saying, I want to set a couple things I will daily check off, and that will motivate me every day to be like, make sure you do those few things, like you said. And being in that present is really super helpful. Those were like 5 really great things you just mentioned that I know people that are easy for people to do. They're not like, make this gigantic board of all the things you want to achieve every month. It's something that's very tangible, and especially with a chronic illness or disability, something that's tangible to achieve in any sort of part of a flare up or not is really important, because you still want to be able to do something of every day as well.
Yeah, I think it's molding your lifestyle to a way that suits you. Like we all love to achieve big things, don't get me wrong, but predominantly these big things are only achieved by the simple daily routines that we have in place. These sustainable lifestyle swaps, or the sustainable lifestyle things that we have, especially with chronic illness, because as you know, like you can have random flare-ups and sometimes that's super frustrating. But if you can still do the small tasks every single day, that does add up to bigger things.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a great way to end this podcast, end 2020 podcasts, and start into next year, which I'm so, like I said, I'm super thankful you were our final 2020 podcast before we continue season 3. It was a great bookends to the year of having you get to be part of different InvisiYouth projects as well. So I want to make sure everybody can find you on social media, find the work that you are doing, find your app as well. So where can everybody find you and the work that you have so people can get involved and get working with you?
So I'm a very easy person to find. It's literally my name, Sophie Grace Holmes, on Instagram, YouTube. There's loads coming on YouTube for 2021, so stay tuned for that. And obviously my app is on the link in my bio, so click it. It's $1 for the first month, so absolute no-brainer to have a look. And yeah, basically, and also I do try to reply to every single message that I do receive, even my message requests. So obviously if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop me a line. It might take a bit of time, but I will get back to you eventually.
Yes, shameless behind the scenes. I did send Sophie a DM, and that is how we ended up getting to know one another as well. So it does work. She does reply. So I can guarantee. So yes, I love that. And we'll make sure all of those links are in the description below on the audio podcast platforms and also on YouTube as well. So you guys can just easy access, click those links and get in touch with Sophie and her app and the work that Sophie does. And like always, you can find InvisiYouth Chat Sessions and InvisiYouth on our website, and then Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at InvisiYouth. And the YouTube version, the video podcast, is on our YouTube channel, and the audio podcast is on every podcast platform you can listen to. We are on, so definitely like, subscribe, thumbs up, 5 stars, all that jazz as well. We thoroughly appreciate it. And like I said, Sophie, thank you so much for being our December episode of the InvisiYouth Chat Sessions. I had such a blast, and I feel like I now have a new pep in my step to get on with my day as well. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we'll be able to connect again in the future going forward. It's been quite the year, so
yes, I know. Hopefully we will be able to see each other again. You can come to the States as well. That would be wonderful.
That would be amazing. I'm definitely down for that.
Perfect. Thank you everyone for listening to this episode. We thoroughly appreciate it, and I will speak to you guys soon in 2021. Thank you everyone. Bye.